That's 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. Keep watching. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Coming up tonight, the absolute beginner's guide to building robots. Plus, Patrick wanders the desert, meeting the people behind the scenes of the DARPA Grand Challenge, and the Southern Oregon Robotics Society brings their biped robot.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Screensavers. I'm Patrick Norton.
And I'm Kevin Rose. Thanks for joining us in the Screensavers. We have been taken over by robots all week long. It is Robot Week. Yesterday, R2-D2 was here. Today, biped robots.
Tiny little happy robots that walk on 2 feet.
They're cool.
They're amazing. We're going to talk to the Southern Oregon Robotics Club. Club or society?
Society.
Southern Oregon Robotics Society. They brought their biped robots, and we're going to learn the basics of building a robot.
And Yoshi has been busy in the lab. He's been working all night.
Yeah, I only worked during the show yesterday and Monday, and well, mine's already done.
That is not yours. That was pre-built.
Yes, it is.
Is it?
No, look behind.
Yeah.
The pre-built one's back
the two
there.
other ones back there. I finished mine, baby. Check it out. If you need some help, I can give you a little hand.
Yoshi, please do not call me baby ever again. Thank you very much.
Okay, yo.
What are you working on?
Yoshi's all flying hip. Today, I'm working on, this is the Psy Bug. Here's mine. Oh, cameraman just fell.
Cameraman down! Medic!
There's mine right there. That's the Psy Bug.
There's going to be some integrated circuits and resistors and capacitors.
Supposedly, yes. Yeah. I mean, I'm getting there.
Let's show the after picture.
Well, okay. This is what it's supposed to look like. This is how far I've gotten.
Don't feel bad.
So,
I'm still putting together. I'm still putting together the gearbox on the Octobot Survivor robot.
Yours looks easy to put together, though.
No. That's the gearbox. That's the inside.
Oh, okay.
And then I've got another 70 components to solder onto a board.
You're gonna have an all-nighter.
Well, the best part of this is I've actually been fabbing some parts because somebody apparently swept up some of the plastic parts on mine last night.
That's no good.
Not good.
And Dan's been working on his own robot.
Yeah.
What's he doing?
Work. I thought it would work, but I guess not. Hey, get a hold of us. The phone number is 888-989-7879. Also, email us at thescreensavers@techtv.com. I'm going to get back to my robot because it's really not put together at all, actually, to be honest. So back to you guys.
I bet Dan $20 he wouldn't have it together by Friday, and he still hasn't taken me up on it yet. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to pull this one off.
We'll see. I may surprise.
That's right. We have interns to help out. And Sarah has a robot she's working on.
I do. This is Bug Brain 3.0.2. This is, the finished one, and mine's still in the box.
So we're a bunch of slackers here at the Screensavers.
No, Yoshi's finished.
So much to do.
I'm in a distant second.
I have an important job outside of robots. No, I don't. I really don't. No, I'm gonna do this tonight and tomorrow. Bug Brain is gonna be working and walking by Friday. Mark my words.
Excellent.
Want some news?
Boots? Yes, we do want some news.
All right. You Windows fans who are patiently waiting for Microsoft's next big operating system, Longhorn, are going to have to keep on waiting. Bill Gates announced at a recent IT conference that Microsoft will probably release Longhorn in 2006. A public alpha release of the OS will ship in May of this year, followed by a beta release late this summer. Why do you think it's going to take 2 years for the final release?
Well, I'm happy. Yeah. I'm glad they're waiting. Last time Microsoft rushed an operating system was Windows ME. Does anybody remember Windows ME?
I thought that was a rush or a money grab. But right, 95 to 98, it's like 3 years. 98 to XP. It's a little bit longer than that.
Right.
Now they're I don't know, maybe because they got to rewrite almost the entire code base.
I'm just saying, take your time. How many people in the audience were running Windows ME? Did any of you run Windows ME? No. Nobody's raised their hand.
Yes.
I guess nobody's going to admit to that one,
Well, a lot of people bought systems that had Windows ME installed on them, and when I'm getting the new operating system, and then
they upgraded to 95. They went back. Yeah.
Old school.
All right. Next story.
I think for Bug Brain 3.0.2, I'm going to put little Peeps shoes on the bottom.
That'd be cool.
Wouldn't that be fun? since I got 96 cartons in the mail the other day.
That's not a joke. She has 96 cartons of
I
Peeps
really did.
at her desk.
Thanks, wherever you are.
We could do a full day of Peeps experimentation.
Yes, we should. Microwaving.
Peeps.
Yeah.
Peeps jousting.
Okay, I've got good news. If you're in the market for a PC running Sun Linux, head over to your nearest Wal-Mart. That's right, I'm not kidding. The mass retailer is now selling PCs running Sun Linux in addition to SUSE, Windows, and Lycoris Linux models. Who knew? Walmart, so hip.
It's just strange.
Sun, first of all, I love Sun.
Right.
They make great enterprise products. Solaris is, like a staple of the internet. It's what runs the majority of a lot of the servers.
Sure.
A lot of big
if
servers.
it's not Linux, it's Solaris.
Right, and it's like, and then some Windows boxes which crash and reboot all the time. But besides those, it's like Linux, they're just starting to get into the Linux market. Now they're starting to release it on the desktops for Walmart, and I don't know. Should Sun really be getting into
From
the...
Spark boxes to Walmart
From
in 2
high-end
years.
64-bit, 32 processor machines to Walmart.
We wait with bated breath.
I don't know. We'll have to buy one of those and get it.
Let's get one in for testing.
Definitely.
One.
Thanks, Sarah.
You're welcome. I have a lot of work to do.
Greg, go, Sarah.
Okay.
Anyhow, Greg joins us on the Tech TV Nickam Network from Houston, Texas.
Hey, Greg. How's it going?
Pretty good. Quick question. This is the Automation Robot Week, and this is pretty relevant. If you remember back in Windows 3.1, Windows 95, there was a little-known, seldom-used macro editor that you could use, and you could automate a lot of Windows functions. And that has since gone away. It was sometime around Windows 98 or Millennium when you just didn't see that icon anymore on your Windows. And what I'm wanting to do, there was a number of things I remember doing way back when. Basically, I could go into work at Amico, and before my coffee was cold, I was able to execute 30 minutes worth of downloads and everything else automatically. I'd like to be able to do that again. Are there any tools, any hidden tools within XP or any utilities I can get that will bring that macro experience back?
Good question. Now, there's the scheduling. Have you messed around with scheduling tasks that's built into Windows XP?
Yeah. I've written quite a few bat files, and I've been using the scheduler. I also use Robocopy, and there are some things. For example, I remember in this macro recorder that you could go within an application, execute things. For example, fishing contacts out of an address book and loading them into another application.
I mean, it sounds like you need to do scripting, and it seems like for most of Windows XP, a lot of that's been turned over to third parties, or at least the ones I know that people are actually using on a day-to-day basis, Greg.
Right.
There's automators, there's like macro schedulers. I think it's up to 7.2 or something like that. I'd almost say it's time to go to downloads.com and start searching through some of the automated macros. I can't think of anybody I know who's actually using anything internal to Windows XP.
Other than just using batch files. The other thing, one software program you definitely have to check out that I've used in the past, this is by Unisys. It's called Automate, and I really like it. It does exactly what you just described, where you can launch an application, it'll watch your mouse movement, it'll watch your keystrokes, it'll log all of that, and then you can schedule exactly when you want to duplicate that. Or I had it going in, and I had a great FTP application that I loved, and I wanted to back up my website, but the application did not support that. It didn't have any task scheduling. So I created an automate task. It would then go into my website at 2 in the morning, grab that entire public HTML directory and back it up for me, and I just used this application to do it. It worked great. It did all the mouse movements and everything for me.
Unison.com, Automate 5 is the name of the program?
We'll put a link to it in the show notes.
Sounds like the thing for you, Greg.
Thanks for the call, Greg.
Just getting started today, folks. We're heading back to the DARPA Grand Challenge to meet the teams. And after the break, we've got biped robots, talking robots, beam robots, and even a robot from the new movie, I, Robot. We're going to tell you all about it after the break.
Welcome back to the Screensavers. We're smack in the middle of Robot Week. Earlier in the week, we showed you a robot head that mimics facial expressions. And yesterday, we took a look at the 2004 Robo-Olympics. But we have yet to look at bipeds like C-3PO or Bicentennial Man. Well, we've got them in studio today from the Southern Oregon Robotics Society, John Peterman and Dan Gates. Welcome, guys. John, I'm going to start off with you. What do we got going on here? We just turned this huge light on over us. I take it these are all solar-powered robots.
Yeah, these are solar-powered beam robots, except for the little one there sitting in one spot.
Okay.
BEAM stands for biology, electronics, aesthetics, and mechanics. And we take our inspiration from the biology around us, the insects and small animals and whatnot. Some of them, as you can see, don't look like insects. But it's a real simple way for kids, young people, inexperienced people like myself to get introduced into robotics.
Yeah, I was going to say, these don't look like, I mean, if you flip one of them over, let's take a look at this one here. Just some capacitors on the backside here. Where do they get the brains? How does that work exactly?
Well, there are no brains per se. There's a couple of, it's a RC time constant, a relaxation oscillator, put together with 2 transistors, a voltage detector, a resistor, and the solar panel for its energy.
How about the parts? Where do you pick the parts up from?
Used throwaways, electronic junk, broken VCRs, broken camcorders, broken Sony Walkmans, pagers, and cell phones.
Really? So you get the vibrating motors out of the pagers and things like that?
You take the little weight off and put a little bit of hot glue or heat shrink on the ends of the shaft, and now you've got a great little foot for a robot.
And which one is this one right here? What type of motors is on?
Those are just pager motors. Those were actually, I bought about 100 of those surplus.
Oh, cool.
But the other ones were salvaged.
And this looks like a hard drive head on this one here.
Yeah, that one's got a Macintosh floppy drive motor, but that's just the base. The actual motor that drives it is out of a Panasonic Slim Cam video camera. And then it uses a logic chip, what is that, a hex inverter chip that it uses the emitters out of a mouse, out of a computer
an LED mouse.
Yeah, well, not even the mouse. It's the encoder wheel that is inside the mouse. And anyway, we use those to detect the light, and then the chip, the way we've hardwired the chip together, it oscillates back and forth, and it compares the two, the amount of light that the two are getting.
I see. So it's constantly looking for the most light, then it's going to try and find the light source. And what does this one do right here? This is a walker that you built.
Yeah, this is a walker that up until yesterday I did not have.
So you built this overnight?
Built it overnight, yeah.
How long did it take you to put this together?
It took me about 12 hours.
So you finished it sometime early?
Midnight last night, yeah. Downloaded the code off the internet from the Parallax website, and got it walking. And
let's turn it on. How do we get it walking?
It's a little slow and a little sloppy because it was a rush job, but he does walk.
That's cool. So you have actually, these look like they're from RC cars in the front.
Yeah, those are servos out of an RC car or airplane. Electrical parts for building, for in your house, home wiring from the Home Depot, half-inch aluminum channel from Home Depot, hinges, all from Home Depot.
What's this going to run you? Total price on something like this if someone wanted to build a home?
I bought most of the servos were used. I got them $5 a piece. The homework board, I'm not sure what you can pay for that. I got it free. But I spent about $20 on it.
Nice, 20, 30 bucks?
Yeah.
Cool. Dan, what are you working on over here? You have, this is one of my favorites. I have to say, this looks like that little guy out of Star Wars where they burned his feet when you turned him upside down.
Yeah, he's got a brand on his feet. No, this is made by a club member, John Olson, and this is called the Pocket Bot, and it walks similar to like the toddlers from Parallax, and like that one. This one actually shifts its weight and steps by shifting its whole body weight.
So it's taking the weight off of one foot while lifting it up and moving it the other foot forward? Is that how it works?
Yeah, if you look at the bottom of this, there's a rail on each foot, and it's actually teetering on that rail.
I see.
So
that's cool. Now, is this custom machined, or is this a kit that you can buy?
No, this is custom machined, and the guy that's doing it has plans of maybe possibly in the future making some of these. It may be a while in the future yet, though, but making them as a kit to sell.
Do these compete in Robo Olympics or anything like that?
No, he has not competed these yet at all. So, the little micro sumos and stuff that he builds, he competes.
I see. Well, how about this one? This is Little Johnny.
This is Little Johnny. He's
we haven't programmed to talk.
Yeah, he's talking today. He said that earlier.
So you programmed him to say that, obviously, with your computer. Now, he also walks, right?
Yeah, he actually is going to do a little routine, wave at the audience. So
let's see him wave at the audience.
He's saluting.
He just flipped the audience off.
No. He doesn't have a middle finger.
Okay. Are you sure you didn't program to do that on purpose?
He's got 3 fingers and no middle, so.
That's cool.
So that's what he's programmed to do right now.
These are parts from around the house that I take. I mean, this looks like from a Tonka truck or something like that.
Yeah, this is the Power Horse tractor, and this was Radio Shack toy robot that I butchered, a halogen shop light from Wal-Mart, and
you guys are resourceful. You're grabbing your parts from a little bit everywhere.
You know, I like taking junk and making something useful out of it. You know, it's better than putting it in the landfill.
Totally.
That's the way I think of it. So yeah, there's a lot of used parts on it.
How about this one here? This reminds me of the Honda. We've seen the Honda robot.
Yeah, the Honda Isimo.
What does that one run? Just out of curiosity.
Ooh, I think that's like $250,000 or something like that. I don't even know if they sell them. I think they're just rented right now. So this one's sort of copied after that one. And when it's finished, it will have arms and a head. It's still in its early stages. I wanted to prove to the world that Americans can build bipedal robots. There's not very many Americans doing it, so I decided I wanted to
So you built this from scratch, completely from scratch?
This is acrylic plastic that they use on like signs and things like that. And I'm kind of holding him because he has no sensors yet to know that he's balancing or not. So when he's completed, he'll walk more smoothly like the Honda P3 or the Honda Isimo.
Now you didn't spend $250,000. What did you spend on this one?
No, this one is close to $2,000 right now. So it's still fairly expensive. Most of that's in the servos, which are like RC servos that drive the legs. And
cool, I like it. It works.
It's working.
You'll have to bring that back in once you get a few more sensors in there.
Head and arms and everything, so it'll have a little more.
Head and arms will be good.
His name's Sam, and it stands for Servo-Actuated Mechanical Man. And the bow tie was my wife's idea.
Cool. Excellent. So, John, Dan, what are you guys working on now? Projects that you're working on?
Well, I've got 5 kids at home, and they're all building robots, so I'm helping them build robots.
Getting them started at a young age, I see.
Yeah, my youngest one is 6 years old, and he's helped me put together one of the beam robots, and similar to your Cybug, actually. And my oldest daughter's building Lego robots and learning how to program.
So for kids that want to get involved in electronics and things like this, you definitely recommend this is a good place to start. You know, start them off with some basic robots.
Definitely. The beam robots are a really good place to start. And we encourage kids. That's what Southern Oregon Robotics Society is all about, is encouraging kids to get involved in it and get them into something that might help them out in the future.
Speaking of which, your website is
www.SORC.org.
Excellent. For the links to Dan and John's favorite robot sites, you can view it. You gave us all your links.
Yeah, you can link to all of it from that
put it on
site
the show
there.
notes,
And it'll be in the show notes.
Excellent. ShowNotesScreensavers.com. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Still to come, learn all the rules about building a basic robot. And up next, Patrick and his element. He's out in the desert meeting the DARPA teams when the Screensavers continues. Don't forget to register for this week's Screensavers LAN party.
That's powered by NVIDIA.
We're in our second wheel of Battlefield Vietnam. Grab your M16 and it's time to frag yourself a screensaver. And to top it off, we're giving away our LAN party machines courtesy of AMD. Each machine will be laser etched and signed by the Screensaver staff. So listen up, you have 2 chances to win. First, simply register for our LAN party and you're automatically entered. And the second is to watch for a secret code word during our LAN party on Thursday. We'll give you that code word, and you enter it on our website, and that will increase your odds even further. We'll be giving away 1 machine per week for the next 4 weeks, and you can enter every week.
And they're nice systems.
Yeah, they are nice systems. So go to our website and click on Join Our LAN Party to register. You must have the full version of Battlefield Vietnam to play, and we'll see you tomorrow for the Screensavers LAN Party. Those are cool machines.
Yeah, they're very nice. Whoever gets one of those machines is going to be very, very happy.
Yes, indeed.
Now, on Monday, we learned why DARPA threw down the Grand Challenge, a 140-mile road race for autonomous, self-driven vehicles. Today, we're going to introduce you to the people behind the machines, and we got an experienced desert race driver to weigh in on what these bots are really up against out there in the deserts.
It's not a time trial, it's a qualification, inspection, and demonstration event. Huh? That's a short course where the robots can prove they can navigate, avoid obstacles, and be stopped should they err. Trial fits, though. Most eventually got out of the gates. Only 7 of the 22 robots that made the Grand Challenge QID actually completed the course. Hey, don't laugh.
This past week, the technology demonstrated that it could be there in 2015. So we're long ways ahead right now in that innovation process.
Colonel Jose Negron is the program manager for DARPA's Grand Challenge, a 140-mile desert race, field test from Barstow, California to Primm, Nevada. Sounds crazy, right? Robots wandering the desert by themselves? Well, there's a good reason. Congress wants the Department of Defense to take the drivers out of 1/3 of its vehicles by 2015.
What's the most shocking or radical thing you've seen, or what surprised you out of the entries?
Really the innovation, the creativity that you've had high school students, you had college students, you had corporate professionals who were kind of burnt out through the corporate ladder. You had innovators, futurists. It was all walks of life, from young to old, and they're all here.
I could barely get my homework done on time. The crew from Palos Verdes High School, well, they're doing their homework, and they built a vehicle for the DARPA Grand Challenge. And you know what? They did all the coding themselves in C++. Let's go check this out. Where'd this come from? Did you guys come up with it? Did the teacher come up with it? Did somebody's parents say, this will get you into MIT, I swear?
One of us brought up this challenge. We heard about it. And we just thought, oh, that's a cool thing to do.
Originally, it was for to get a ham radio license at the meeting, but we never got that ham radio license. We just did this instead.
So these are the kids from the Palos Verdes Road Warriors. They are definitely having fun.
But I'm just really stoked that we're actually this far. I didn't even care if we made it or not, but we did. It's just really gas.
Then there's Team Red from Carnegie Mellon University and their vehicle, Sandstorm.
So here's the thing. We didn't come here for a tea party. This is a race.
Nobody can accuse Team Red of a lack of intensity.
Sandstorm utilizes stereo cameras like human eyes, a line scanner that slices models through the world, and then stacks them up like a loaf of bread to make a solid volume model. Below that is radar that sweeps the horizon, and in front of that, scanning for the close maneuvering. That's all mounted on a mobile neck that can take the jitter out of the motion and point where we're going.
This used to be a Chevy pickup, I bet.
It scares me.
The robot's stronger and more powerful than the human.
It's superhuman.
It's kind of almost, but it's it's like a very muscular, right now, stupid robot that's on there that's sort of using its power to stabilize the bike.
This event is not about offering DARPA a new drive platform. It's not about troop transport. It's not about ordnance delivery. It's about navigation.
And when you say navigation, you don't mean just like get me from point A to point B. You mean get me from point A to point B without falling into a ravine or getting stuck in a tree or
all that.
There's a lot of subtle...
Go around that rock. Go around that dead bot. Don't go off that cliff. Don't pull a Thelma and Louise, as we call it.
Is a Thelma and Louise right over the cliff really all these teams should be worried about? I don't think so. The desert eats even experienced drivers.
To give you folks an idea of just exactly what these robots are running into, we pulled in a real live desert racer. We got a trophy truck driver here from PCI Racing, Scott Steinberger. Scott, thanks for coming out to talk to us.
Nice to meet you.
What are these guys going to run into?
They're going to run into silt beds, big rocks, just treacherous terrain. They're going to have obstacles, I'm sure. I give these guys an A for effort, but I think there's a big learning curve. Momentum's a key thing. I hope these robots can keep their momentum going. With momentum, you won't get stuck in the silt and the sand. You just got to know when to stay on it. I think the rocks are going to be an issue. I'd rather see a robot come into harm's way than one of my friends. So I think this is a great idea. I could see a robot navigating down Interstate 15 to Las Vegas, no problem. But when you say go across the open desert or just get to point A and point B, what happens when there's a mountain in between? How does it know to go around? With the time limit for the Grand Challenge being 10 hours and the course being a little over 200 miles, I think it's going to be tough for them to finish on the time limit. I think that's the biggest challenge, other than, just learning to, turn right and left and oops.
Did anybody really think that motorcycle was going to make it?
Now, here's the thing, though. Our editor kind of had a lot of fun at the motorcycles expense, but check out Anthony's motorcycle from over at Berkeley. It'll run. It'll bounce. This is an incredible engineering challenge. And they had some issues. What you saw is they had some issues getting some of their systems to run there. Let me start that up again. But what's amazing, though, is his theory, right, is that in the future, if you can balance it on two wheels, you have that many fewer tires, you have that much more maneuverability. He's working on some wild ideas. Who knows? Who would have thought a Segway would, if somebody said there's going to be a Segway that's going to balance itself, you would have laughed, right?
Definitely.
You're just seeing it a little early. So it's good stuff. Now, Friday, we're going to show you how the race went down, what it looked like at the starting line, and how some of the vehicles finished. It's not a pretty
Did one
sight.
blow up? There was one that caught on fire.
Well, there's a little fire one, but we want to get ahead. We know you know the results, but stick around. There's going to be some good video on Friday, and thanks to Scotty for driving out to show us the truck and talk to us about the scary stuff that happens.
Cool. Excellent. Now here's Sarah with a quick tip.
I just have to say, I don't think I ever see Patrick happier than when he's doing something like the DARPA challenge. It was like Burning Man Patrick style. He's like, whoa, used to be a Chevy. Great. All right. Do you have 900 icons in your system tray? Yes, me too. Well, the more clutter in the system tray, of course we know, the longer it takes to boot into Windows. I hate that. Go to our show notes at thescreensavers.com and read our article on protecting your machine from dumb installs. Take back the installs. Now, don't go anywhere. Get a little help from Uncle Leo on adding links to your webpage. And after the break, find out what you need to know to get into the hobby of building cool robots. It's all when the Screensavers continue.
Welcome back to the Screensavers. I'm Patrick Norton. Coming up in this half hour, Kevin. He has found some nice dark deals on the web, some bargains for you. Plus, Mark's called. He wants to know why Windows gets attacked so much. Kevin and I are going to give our take on that. Now, not only is our next guest a contributing editor to Wired Magazine, he just happens to have written the absolute beginner's guide to building robots. Gareth Branwyn joins us by netcam from Arlington, Virginia, to give us the insight on getting started in robotics. Welcome, Gareth.
Hey, Patrick.
How are you doing today?
Oh, not too bad. Here I am on my crappy little webcam again.
Hey, 20 years ago, that would have been a crappy little miracle of a webcam, so let's go easy. It looks good. The picture actually looks really good, man.
Oh, cool.
So your book covers everything. I mean, you cover soldering to shrink wrap to some of the theories behind robotics. What was the inspiration for the book?
Well, money. That was the first inspiration.
But what did you write? I mean, come on, you get money, you want to write something. This isn't going to get picked up by Hollywood.
Another book called Robo Sapiens, which was like a coffee table book. I think came out in 2000, and I really loved that book. And it had incredible photography in it. And I realized that as you looked at the pictures, there was the surrounding text was really compelling and taught you a lot about how to think more deeply about robots. And I thought there was a subversive element to that. And I thought it would be really cool to write a beginner's guide to robots that really had a lot of deep stuff in it, but that was sort of hidden amongst a lot of fun, entertaining writing, and I crack a lot of jokes and try to make it as light as possible, but that you would come away with it not only having built some projects, but you would also understand more about how to think about robots, because I think a lot about where we are in robots today has to do with creative and insightful ways of thinking about robots, or ways that get us into these sort of conceptual traps, like our obsession with humanoid robots would be, to me, an example of where that sort of led us off on the wrong path. So I wanted to create something that the first half of the book is almost like an absolute beginner's guide to thinking about robots, and the second half is the projects.
Very cool stuff. I mean, I love the fact that you get so hands-on. You explain. I mean, a lot of people don't know how to solder. Sarah's teasing Dan earlier this week aside. A lot of people don't know how to solder. But you also, like you mentioned before, there's some subversive ideas. You get pretty deep in this. You mentioned competing schools of robotics. How would you define the competing schools of robotics?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's probably as many quote-unquote schools as there are robot scientists. But if you had to kind of muscle them into two camps, I think that there's the sort of bottom-up camp, the people who are inspired by nature and what's called biomimicry and programming these sort of robo-critters and swarm robotics and the sorts of things that Rodney Brooks is doing at the MIT AI Lab and iRobot with the Roomba. These very simple, sort of starting at the bottom and trying to engineer as simple a technology as possible to answer a particular problem. And then the reverse of that is sort of the top-down school, which is the Marvin Minsky's and the Hans Moravic's and the Japanese humanoid initiative and things like that, where the idea is basically to engineer, to architect a brain or a humanoid, somebody who can basically mimic human behaviors, has emotions, and that sort of thing. So I think those two basic approaches yield very, very different results. And we have things like, as I mentioned, the iRobot. I don't know if you've seen this thing called the Robo-Sapien, which Mark Tilden, who was involved in Beam Robotics, which is another kind of bottom-up school of robotic thought. And he's created this thing called the Robo-Sapien, which I think is going to be out by Christmas. That does basically all of the things that the Sony Curio could do. But the Sony Curio was going to cost as much as a luxury car, and the Robo-Sapien is going to cost under $100.
But how do you make these leaps? I mean, at this point, it almost sounds like the extremely complex is becoming extremely inexpensive. You two radical different schools of thought. So they get reconciled, or does one go off and
Well, I think in some ways they're kind of coming together. I mean, I think when you look at something like the Robo-Sapien, it's much more complex than a lot of the other Beam or really, really low-end robots are, but at the same time, it's still coming from that sort of bottom-up, simple is better sort of approach. And then you have things like the Robo-1, which is a robot that's kind of similar to the Robo-Sapien that, I don't know when that's going to be out, that's going to retail for about $3,000, I think. And that sort of somewhere in between the Sony bot and the Robo-Sapien, and so I think they're sort of starting to be a point where they kind of come together. But I think with things like the Roomba, you've got to have things that work well, that do one thing well, and that can sell at a kind of icebreaker price. Because it's almost a market, and I think that's what the Roomba has done.
It's almost a legitimately practical project. I mean, speaking of which, you've got 3 projects in your book. What's your favorite of the 3 that are in there? What was the most fun?
Well, I think they're all great for different reasons. The Walker, which basically is made out of a coat hanger and a servo motor, I think is really amazing because it is so simple, and it shows that KISS principle, keep it simple, stupid. And then the second one is the Mousy, which is probably the favorite because it's based on a computer mouse. Everyone has an analog computer mouse lying around at this point, and you basically turn it into a robot, and so that's got great geek cred. And then the third robot is made out of 2 AOL discs. And
which everyone has a few dozen.
Yeah, I've always tried to figure out what to do with those, so that was the idea, to use them in a robot. And it actually does have a microcontroller on it. The other 2 bots are very, very simple and use basic integrated circuits. And the Disc Rover has a UPIC microcontroller, which I think is a very, very exciting new kind of microcontroller, which is sort of trumps the BASIC, which has been the basic stamp. Has been the sort of the chip of record for robotic development, but I think things like the UPIC, which is object oriented and can do very, very sophisticated things, I think that's sort of the future of hobby microcontrollers.
Gareth, great stuff, great book, The Absolute Beginner's Guide to Building Robots. We got to scoot. Thank you so much for talking to us today. Tech journalist and contributing editor for Wired Magazine, Gareth Branwyn. To find more about his book, The Absolute Beginner's Guide to Building Robots, check it out at thescreensavers.com. Thank you, Gareth. Let's toss it over to our favorite guy, Leo, for an HTML tip.
All right, it's time for some HTML magic. Now, I don't have to tell you how to put an email link in a web page, right? You all know that. That's very handy. You just use a standard Ahref link, and you put mail to instead of HTTP and the email address. The way that works, of course, is when your user sees that email me link and clicks it, his default mail package launches, and a new message is created with your address in it. A very convenient thing and a nice thing to do. However, we're going to take it one step forward. Turns out you can even put other fields in the message like CC, BCC, subject, and even text body in if you know the right syntax. Let's add a subject to this mail to command. You put a question mark to say there's a new command coming up, and we say subject equals, and then I'm going to put Leo's tips. And when I save this into the HTML file, watch, it's going to be some magical stuff happening. I now launch the web page, click email me, and the subject line's automatically filled out. Leo's tips. This is really great because you can have a variety of possible subjects and make it easy for you to filter the email that you're getting from your users. Let's add one more. This is a little different. We do ampersand body equals, and then this would be great for filling out fields, some text. This is actually going to go into the body of the message. You can even have additional lines and so forth. All of the syntax is on the website. For all of these commands, look at this. We not only filled in the address, the subject, we're even filling in some of the body of the message. All of the information you need at the screensavers.com. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Leo. Ladies and gentlemen, stay where you are. Up next, Kevin's up, and he's going to tell you how to get an iPod mini for, $150. That's $100 off. Dark Deals time when the Screensavers continues.
Let's check in with the fine folks over at Tech Live to see what's coming up tonight.
Hello, my boys.
Hey,
how are you?
Jesse, how you doing?
I'm well. So, you guys, are you feeling stressed out at work?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. Well, don't just blame it on your boss. The problem could be right in front of you. We're talking about your noisy computer. And tonight on Tech Live, you'll meet a guy whose mission it is to shut him up and to keep you sane in the workplace. That's good, huh? That's coming up right after the Screensavers.
Yeah, Yoshi worked on a similar project this. He had his ultimate quiet PC. It was pretty cool. That's some cool stuff.
Thank you, Jessica.
Thanks,
So it's
Jess.
coming up on Tech Live right after this show.
Now it is time for some dark deals. The reason they are dark is because you have to follow my instructions exactly in order to get them. There may be special rebates or coupons or promotional codes you have to enter. Every deal is different. Let's get started. First one, take a look at this here. I actually brought a product out. This is a 7-in-1 card reader. It's going to allow you to read pretty much everything from compact flash, SD, MMC cards, memory sticks, Memory Stick Pro, you name it. And it has this nice little tucked away cable. Plugs into USB, no drivers required. I love these things because they're great if you have digital cameras or, all different types of devices. If a friend comes in with a different type of digital camera,
And that was
you can
even
read their
USB
cards.
2.0, so it's fast.
High speed. So I have one here made by Syntax. They're all pretty much the same. They really don't vary too much in features. $14.99, but it's completely free after rebate. Now, they only have 97 left on their website, and I've been watching it. It's been going down. It started out at 150, so I have a feeling they're going to be sold out real quickly, in the next couple of minutes. So you better fire up the web browser now to get the links. Next one that I like, the Dell Ultra Sharp 2001 FTP 20.1-inch LCD. Now, this one was reviewed on Antec and a few other sites. It got rave reviews.
It's a great monitor.
It's a great monitor, 20.1 inches. It's on sale for $849, but I have a coupon code that I'm going to give you. It's going to give you an additional 25% off. You can't find it on the website. It's like one of those coupon codes that they send out in certain flyers and things like that. But people put them on different deal sites and message boards. Yeah, so you get it for, what is it, $700 and some odd dollars, $750 or something like that? Yeah, $750. So that's not bad at all. That's for a 20-inch LCD.
For a nice 20-inch
Yeah, a nice 20-inch LCD.
However,
what's that?
The piece de resistance.
Yes, this is my all-time favorite here. I love this. This is the Apple iPod. This is my favorite, the Mini. $150.
Which is nice. Leo used to buy stuff and then it would get cheap. Now you're buying stuff and it gets cheap.
Well, no, it didn't have a price drop at Apple. What you have to do is Audible has a deal right now. If you sign up for Audible, you get $100 off. Now, Audible service is $14.95 a month. But I use it. It's great because if you're going to buy audiobooks for your iPod, I like to listen to them when I'm at the gym. Audiobooks tend to range between $20 and $30. Here with the Audible service, you get it for $14.95. You get 2 free books every month or a book and a magazine. And you get the iPod for $150. Awesome. Which a lot of people have been like, how can I get a cheap iPod? Well, Apple controls the prices so tightly, it's hard to get cheap iPods or cheap Apple anything for that matter.
$150 for a mini iPod.
Yeah.
That's as
Not
cheap
a
as it's
bad
going to
deal.
go. Good stuff.
Yeah, if you want to get into these dark deals for yourself, some of them expire today, so view my article at thescreensavers.com. Now, coming up after the break, Mark is on the line. He's baffled at why Windows is bombarded with viruses. We're going to tell him why when the Screensavers continues.
Be sure to catch tomorrow's show. Meet a self-balancing robot from the Homebrew Robotics Club. And we're going back to Robo Olympics for more competition. And Sarah helps you lock your homepage with a simple tweak. That is all coming up on Thursday's edition of the Screensavers.
Excellent.
Good stuff.
It's time for a live call.
Mark joins us on the phone from Martinez, California.
Hey, Mark.
Hey.
How's it going?
Fine.
Good.
What's up?
Sup?
Finished my gearbox.
Cool.
How can we help
Finally,
you?
huh?
I'm sorry?
Finally, huh?
Yeah.
It's a good feeling.
He's getting there.
Got a question for us?
Yeah, I was wondering, like, your opinion, why do you think Windows gets so many viruses? I was wondering if it's because when they release the OSs that there are like so many holes already, so it's easier to exploit them, or is that since it's been out, Windows has been out so long that there are already enough people who understand the old OSs, so all they have to do is go into the new ones and, you know, tweak around and find the stuff that's you know, open, and also that since it's been around for so long, there's so many computers, and if they're going to do any damage, it's going to be on a wide scale, so they pick PCs for it.
Hold on, Mark. Kevin.
Yes.
No, you look like we were both like...
No,
one, it's a big, giant, honking target because, like, what, 80, 85, 87% of the U.S., nay, the world, uses Windows, right? So that makes it... That's where most of the people are. Virus writers didn't either go after what will do the most damage, or if you're writing a worm that maybe does something kind of interesting, you do it for the most likely, or the largest group of targets. That's number one, right? It's the biggest group of targets. Two, lots and lots of holes. I mean, Microsoft, they're like, we did a good job, and then people go, well, there's this hole, and then they go later on, they find this hole, and then later on they find that hole, and then they go, oh, wow, a lot of these holes are caused by buffer underruns, so they start searching for buffer underruns, or overruns, I should say. Yeah. Buffer underrun is a CDR thing. A little confused there, Mark, but you know what I mean, and they start finding, you know, new versions of old holes.
You're absolutely right. I mean, let's think about the way that Windows was created. It was originally created for the home user, you know, someone sitting in their home or business with no network connectivity, you know, you knew who was getting on your machine.
Right.
And Unix, on the other hand, it's been around. It was created for multiple users and things like supercomputers and things of that nature and college campuses. So it's a little more bomb-proof than Windows is.
In theory, right, Windows new technology, or Windows NT, which became Windows XP, was them starting from scratch to build a multi-user environment and build it with more solid code, but apparently they weren't as successful as they wanted, which is why they're working on Longhorn, which may or may not come out in 2006 and may or may not have fewer holes, and may or may not have the same market share if the holes and the viruses and the worms keep coming up at the rate they are.
Yeah, I think you were right, though, when you said that they just want to go after the masses. And the masses are on Windows right now, so that's who they're targeting.
If the masses were on DOS, that's what they'd be targeting.
That's right.
There where you are. Simple check in our inbox to see what's on your mind.
That's a scary thought.
Yeah, it is. It's that time. Sarah, do you have any emails?
I do. Let's start off with some from yesterday. Greg says, did anyone hack into Kevin's server?
No, they did not. I got a bunch of emails from guys that had run like Nessus scans and things like that against my system, and they said, you're running an old version of SSH. Your secure shell is, you know, open for exploits. Well, I patched the exploit. I just didn't upgrade the version. So all these people thought that I had an exploit, but I really don't.
If you had the exploit, wouldn't they have exploited it?
Exactly. But, you know, nobody did, so.
My boy is wicked tight.
Wicked smart, too.
Wicked smart.
Okay, Cameron wants to know. He just built his own computer. He's using a Gigabyte Radeon 9200 hooked up to his TV, but he can't see regular typing because of bad resolution. What should he do?
Get a big television monitor or an HD TV, because basically web page, any type looks horrible on a television screen. That was one of the biggest things they did for Microsoft's Web TV. You may or may not remember that strange little web browsing system was to try to figure out a way to make text look good on a television monitor. It's extremely difficult to do, and it almost never looks good coming out the back of a graphics card from your system.
And if you're always wondering on the show why we run such low resolutions, is because the only thing you can see really is 800 by 600 that we can put on the screen. So
yeah, and if you're wondering why the stuff that scans out is because we actually shoot it with a video camera rather than using a scan converter. You can try, but it rarely works out very well on TV. Sorry.
Another quick one from Chris. I want the best TV for gaming. Which one should I buy?
An HD TV with probably a VGA and a DVI
yeah,
input.
for sure.
As a matter of fact, we got a roundup of plasmas, which you probably won't have the money for, but is very exciting to see in a couple of weeks. So watch the show next week and learn more about that.
That's it for this edition of Screensavers. I'm Kevin Rose.
I'm Patrick Norton. Thank you for joining us. We'd like to thank our guests, John Peterman, Dan Gates, and Gareth Branwyn. See you next time.